Hi there, this is Philip from Beyond the Tabletop, and in this video I'm showing you how I converted up the Inquisitor's pet, which is a hybrid of animal and servitor. And like some of the other videos in this series, the model is complete and I'm just going to give you a quick talk through about how I converted this model up. This one will be a super quick video as it was relatively straightforward to do. Now the base model is the Grinx, which is Yvraine's cat. So Yvraine is part of the Ynnari triumvirate. She's the base model that I used for my Inquisitor, so I had the cat model going spare, so it seemed to make sense to use this as part of the Inquisitor's retinue. And I wanted to make this model WYSIWYG with the current rules for the Acolytes, so the Acolytes can have a chainsword as well as a bolt pistol. Now I really liked the idea of giving an animal a human servo skull to show that it is no longer alive in the traditional sense, but has been converted and modified and now has probably more sentience than it did before, and it's going to be stalking around her, acting as her protector and bodyguard. So he's armed with a head mounted bolt pistol. Now this kit is a Forge Rod model. Now I'm not sure how this came into my bits collection, and I just had that piece going spare, so rather than kind of create it all or scratch build it, I just decided to glue it onto the head, and that was a relatively straightforward piece. Now to help blend that into the model, I created some fur out of green stuff, which was really easy. You can see the different colours though where I've done it over several sessions. So I did the front piece initially, and then I decided to add on some additional fur to the back at a later date. That just literally involves putting some green stuff down and then using almost like a toothpick to pull out the green stuff to kind of tear it, and that creates this lovely fur effect. And that is probably the easiest form of green stuff sculpting you can do. Now when it came to doing this, I started at the bottom and worked my way up, so the layering would be correct for how fur looks. So the fur highest up will be on top and the fur at the bottom will be underneath all the other bits of fur. So that's one thing to bear in mind. Then I created this tiny chainsword from the Astra Militarum chainswords, and it was a matter of just cutting the top bit off and filing it all down to be as thin as possible, and then taking the detail from the base and cutting that up and mounting it around that piece, and then using some green stuff to sort of fill it all out to turn it into one model. And originally I had this mounted to the actual tail of the cat, but then that seemed quite thin and sort of seemed unrealistic. So instead I've used some guitar wire, which I believe is from a bass guitar, which gives it that lovely cabling effect. And obviously the guitar wire is fantastic because it's got that lovely ribbed detail, but it's also quite stiff, so you can bend it into shape, and it's quite firm, and you can sort of bend it a bit more, but it will on the whole keep its shape. And then lastly I just added some green stuff onto that bum area to sort of merge the cable into the skin and the flesh a little bit more, showing you where this skin will be all deformed and ragged from where the augmentation has occurred. Now I also added in two extra tiny bits of detail, and I believe that these two shapes actually came from part of the original chainsword, and I just carefully sliced them off and then used my plastic cement to glue it onto the hind leg. So they're going to be painted up as metal pieces just to again reinforce that narrative that it is an augmented creature. And then I just mounted it to a base so I can paint this up separately from its final base. And that is the model complete. So in terms of all the conversion work for my inquisitorial retinue, this one has been the quickest and easiest. If you are interested in these kind of mini tutorials, let me know in the comments below what you think to them. I'd like to give a huge thank you to my Patreon supporters. If you'd like to support the channel, you can join me over on Patreon or use my Element Games affiliate link and promo code when you buy your Warhammer products. You'll find links for those down in the description below. You can also check out my online store, beyondthetabletop.com/shop, where I sell resin conversion kits for both infantry and vehicles. Thanks again for watching this video. Feel free to hit all the usual YouTube buttons to like and subscribe, or follow my other social media platforms for regular updates with what I'm working on. And if you're interested in more INQ28 conversions, there's that playlist over in the top left hand corner. That's all for now. Until the next time, take care.